everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica and our side series, Like and Lounge. Today we're taking a look at Time Crisis on the PlayStation 1. It was originally released on the Namco Super 22 arcade hardware, which was not based on the PlayStation 1 hardware. There are some arcade games that are based on the PlayStation 1 PCB design and chipset, but this is not one of them. I apologize for the video quality. Now, it's supposed to be that the gun con is compatible with a PlayStation 2 and component if you plug it into the right input. But for me, it just didn't work. The gun would not function. I tried red, I tried blue, and I tried green, and I could not get any communication from the gun con into my PVM. So your mileage may vary if you try to use a PlayStation 2, but we are running on classic composite video, which is the lowest quality you can get outside of RF. But I enjoy this game so much, you're just going to have to deal with the blurriness, or you don't have to watch, but I think you should. Anyway, this game I originally played in arcades, and when it came home I definitely wanted to get it. This and the Point Blank series were incredible games on the PlayStation 1, and I will say that Namco, with their gun con, it is an absolute perfect light gun. Their accuracy that they were able to achieve with that RCA jack that taps into the composite line just made the accuracy so much better than any other home light gun. Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Sega Saturn. Obviously the Nintendo 64 didn't have one, so we can't throw that into the mix, but the gun con has perfect accuracy, which is really important, not so much on this game, but when you play Point Blank and you get to some of the harder stages, that accuracy makes a huge difference. Now, the big hook of this game is that you actually can duck in and out of cover, and that's going to be basically in every single game for Time Crisis. And on the gun con, you push a button. On the original arcade cabinet, you had a big foot pedal. This is something that I might be interested in getting as an arcade unit for the home, but just based on how expensive the gun is and having to wire up the foot pedal, it's something that I don't know that I actually want to store the space on. I will say that it's got a lot of interesting gameplay mechanics. You are timed, and each area has a timer. If that timer runs out, you have to use a continue. And then they used a lot of different color combinations. The blue enemies are basically stormtroopers. They're not going to hit their target no matter how many times they shoot at you. And then the brown enemies are going to be a little bit more accurate. And the red colored enemies are going to be absolutely deadly, so you need to worry about them. I will say that a lot of the enemies here, it's really hard for them to hit you, but it gives you a decent sense of ease. Graphically, it's definitely blocky, it's definitely an early PlayStation game, and it's definitely not the prettiest to look at, but as far as the actual shooting mechanics is concerned, it's a super fun game. The gun cons aren't cheap anymore. To get a gun con separately from this game, you're probably going to pay $30 to $40 for a functioning gun. And if you buy this as the box set that has the game in it for either Point Blank or for Time Crisis, it can go to $80 to $100. Now, my recommendation is if you want to add these to your collection and you either have a Japanese PlayStation 1, a modded PlayStation 1, or a modded PlayStation 2, the Japanese box sets of the Gun Con and game are much cheaper. I got my Point Blank Gun Con set from Japan for maybe $25, and it was in absolutely pristine condition. Now we're going into the first boss fight, if you can call it that. I definitely cut some time out of it, but this boss is incredibly easy to beat. You'll see he is dead there. And we can just move right on to the second part of this stage. I do think that this game still holds up really well. Like I mentioned in a previous video, I grew up with these and I enjoyed playing them so much that I definitely have a lot of nostalgia for them. But the Time Crisis series probably got worse as it went on. Time Crisis 1 was great, Time Crisis 2 was a lot of fun, and after that, they get a little shaky, which is unfortunate because this game, when it came out in arcades, was amazing. When it came home, was amazing. So it's kind of a disappointment to see that it got worse over time. If you get the Gun Con 3 for the PlayStation 3, that game is terrible, and you have to set up these optical sensors, and it's just a complete mess. Definitely got my butt handed to me there with those shots. The game difficulty ramps up very quickly, which is unfortunate. You see, you open this door here, and there's 6 enemies, some with shields right behind it, so you got to be pretty careful with using your cover to be able to hit them without taking a hit yourself. And now we're in this large outdoor area. I will say, as far as the port's concerned, from arcade to PlayStation 1, the game runs perfectly fine. It looks like it's a locked 60 frames per second. I didn't encounter any slowdown whatsoever, and I definitely had a lot of fun playing it. It's unfortunate that I wasn't able to get the PlayStation 1 captures working on the PlayStation 2. I'll have to read more about it. Maybe there's an issue with my particular PVM that doesn't like it, or maybe it doesn't function on PVMs. It only functions on traditional CRTs, because there are definitely a lot of variables in play with these light guns, and that's something that you're going to have to tackle carefully yourself if you decide to get a light gun collection. They're fiddly, there's a lot of hardware going on, there's a lot of wiring going on, and sometimes you have to fight with them to work. I will say capturing this entire series was the most frustrating and difficult thing I've had to do on the entire channel, including making some of the projects. Sometimes it just doesn't like to work, the Elgato capture device doesn't like the signal, it'll drop the signal, so there's a lot of things that you just kind of have to put up with if you want to play these games. But if you do figure it out, it is highly worth it to enjoy them and play them, because we just don't get that much like these anymore. And you have this big outdoor area here, and that is where I'm going to end up dying. But closing thoughts, definitely recommend this game. It can be a little expensive to get with the gun con, but if you're into light gun games, it's a super fun time. The storyline is classically cheesy, so I definitely recommend you do check it out. Short of that, thanks so much for watching. We will be back on Tuesday, another episode in our mainline series. But if you could do us a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, we'd appreciate it. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and we hope you have a great weekend. Bye-bye.